Hello, world. It feels like everywhere I go in Japan, you can find traditions that have been followed for hundreds of years. In Tamba Sasayama, it's no exception. Tambayaki, or Tamba ware, is an 800-year-old tradition that is still carried on today by about 60 kilns located around the Tachikui district. What is often the case when hearing about these kinds of traditional practices is that you find out it's a dying craft. So it's encouraging to hear that this group of potters have not only been able to keep the craft alive generation after generation, but they are still thriving to this day. What's the secret?
まあその当時生活スタイルにね応じたものを丹波焼きっていうのは多分作っていってるんですけども、ちゃんとその流れに、今でいうユーザーですよね、ユーザーが欲しいものを、投稿は今まで作り続けてきたので、その生活の流れの中でいるもの必要なものを、しっかりね作り続けたからこのだけ長い歴史が続いてきたんだと思います。
A technological improvement they made happened around 1611 when they started constructing Korean-style kilns, which are locally called noborigama, or in English, a climbing kiln. This enabled the mass production of pottery. Around this era, the Edo period, they also started making sake bottles and tea ceramics. And if we now look at Tambayaki today, you'll see a lot of very practical everyday items. However, the second reason I believe that the tradition is still going strong is because the artists are allowed to be creative. There are two aspects to this. One is that they really can make whatever they want. The second is that even when they're creating practical items, they are each doing it with their own style. To see some of the more traditional Tambayaki, I visited Toshihiko Shimizu, who has been making pottery for 50 years. Like many in the profession, his son is also continuing the tradition. One thing you'll notice is that despite being a family business, the son's pottery is quite different from his father's. So while he's following tradition, he's also breaking from it. What I found surprising was that while there was a cooperative factory where you could get potter's clay from, there are potters that are still searching the local areas and gathering their own to get the precise texture they like.
こういう土味が出る。ざっくり感みたいなのが出ないです。ツルツルでしょ結構。
At its most basic, making pottery is quite simple. Get the clay, add water, and create whatever you like.
そうするともうこれがもうパウダーですよね。でこれも水打つとこれだけやったら、いやもうこれぐらいのあれやったらもうでこれでもうちょいと欲しいな。これが粘土質、ほらもう粘土質になってますよね。自然な感じですよね。こんだけ粘り気があるというのはすごいですよね。今取った土が普通ならパサパサ取れるとこうやって取れていっちゃうんですけど、しっかり粘りもあるんで形になるという。
Although, of course, the normal steps they take are a bit more complex.
土連機といいまして、真空土連機といって、土と土の中にあるこう空気ですよね。空気をあの機械で全部抜いてしまって真空にかけてるんですね。こういう土をこう真空土連機に混ぜちゃうとこういう土味っていうのがなくなるんで、もうあえて土連機にはかけないです。はい。だから土連機は本当に上質なきめの細かい土を、作るためにある機械なんですね。はい。
I think what the area has done well is to market their products and come together to represent the whole area as a brand. You can visit Potter's Alley and see over 50 artists represented. The spots are very affordable to rent, and the location of each artist's wares are rotated so that everyone gets a chance at exposure. There's also a group of 8 that got together to create TS, Tamba Style.
丹波スタイル今現在は8人で活動しているんですけど、作り手の業界っていうのはどうしても個人の器、個人の作品を見ていただきたいいうのはあるんですけれども、それをさておいて、丹波焼全体を PR することによって将来夢を持った職業としてここの発展になんかこう役立てないかなというのがそもそもの始まりなんです。やはり丹波焼を売るためには一つのブランドを作ろうということで、8人が同じものを作って時間かかるかもわからへんけど8人でどの形がいいかどのサイズがいいか全部協議をして、それで協議の結果1ヶ月後に全員がサンプルを作って持ち寄って、じゃあこれをアイテムとして次追加しようかっていうような方法で、それを8人が決まったものを全員が作るっていう方法なんです。数字に表すと8割ぐらいの窯元さんは後継者がいてるんですけども、やはり後継者不足っていうのも実際問題にはなっておりますけども、他の他産地に比べればまだ丹波焼は元気な産地の方なんですよね。
Nishibata-san too is a successor to her father, who's on the left.
いける？ちょっと狭いんですけど、どうぞ。よいしょ。よくします。
I love that she worried about the little bucket in the way in an otherwise immaculate studio, especially when I had just visited Shimizu-san, who had stuff everywhere.
でもここで作業してまして、今ちょっと絵描いてたんですけども。
And like Shimizu-san and his son, Nishibata-san and her father have different styles. She went to an art school and likes to make designs on her pottery.
感じで先に色を置いておいて、でちょっと乾いてから削って輪郭を出していくっていう絵の付け方をしてます。家業が焼き物屋さんやったっていうのと、あと絵を描いたりなんていうか物を作ったりっていうのはもともと好きで、なんか自由度が高いというか、結構どんなことをしてもなんかこう受け入れてもらえるこう幅の広さというか、そういうのがなんかこうやってて楽しい感じがありますね。なので窯元によってそれぞれカラーがすごい違ってくるので、どこ見てもこういろんなそれぞれがあるので、それは楽しいなって思いますね。
I visited yet another father-son duo. Some of the items made by Onishi Son's father are very thin and light bear cups. His son likes his pottery rougher and more raw. He showed me the climbing kiln that they have.
この辺が今から入れる焼き物なんですよ。でこの薪も来週にもう全部なくなっちゃいます。で焼く時間はそうですね、だいたい3日間かけて一番下から、窯全体を温めながら、一つ一つの穴にこう薪を掘り込んでいきます。でこの温度計もつけないんで、この辺が焼けたかなと思ったらここの上に上がってきてまた薪を掘り込む。でここやってる時はここの辺が焼けたかな、ずんずん登っていくというのが登り窯の特徴かなと。本来こうやって横穴がこんだけいっぱいね、20センチ間隔である窯ってなかなかないんですね。これは丹波特有の、登り窯で、通称蛇窯っていうんですけども、低くて長い窯の特徴がありますね。
なんかいいですよね。昔はそうですよね。これに結構の赤が綺麗に出てる感じ。
これが、薪を焚いた、焼けた後に出る灰ですよね。木が溶けて灰になる。でこれはナチュラルグレースっていうんですか。やっぱり昔の焼き物を見てると こうワクワクするんですね。まあ僕の理想である赤土塀といってね、江戸時代にねあった赤土塀といって、まあ一種の釉薬なんですけども、まあそれを再現するためにずっと窯を焼き続けてますし、この辺の色とか、こういう方がこうなんか面白かったりねしますよね。
The funnest stop I made was to Masahiko-san's studio. The reason I say this is that despite being a famous local artist, he didn't say a word about his work. Instead, he was interested in showing me things like his water basin. I asked him about the flow of water, and he got out a screwdriver just to adjust it. I love how he had this new, really nice place, but kept the water pipe rustic on purpose. Here's the outside view, and here's the inside view. Quite a contrast, right? His work also ranges from the refined to the raw. I wish I had time to fly my drone here, but his property is quite large, and he even bought his own excavator in order to do landscaping himself. His reason for doing it himself was that if you hire some people a few times, it's just as expensive as the excavator, so why not buy one and operate it yourself? He also has his collection of clay and a forklift. Of course, he was more than happy to demonstrate it in action. For the pottery you see here, it's designed by him and made by his apprentices. I personally bought this bowl for my daily yogurt and muesli. I had actually first encountered it at the restaurant I ate at the night before, where it was filled with miso soup. All of the restaurant's courses were served using local Tambayaki. When we stopped to eat lunch, I again found myself eating on art. We were at Luna Papados, whose owner, Suzuki-san, became a super fan of Masahiko-san. He liked the Tambayaki and area so much that he decided to open a restaurant making food for the dishes.
基本的には自分では選ばないんです。もう完全にお任せです。その器に合わせて料理を考えるようにしてます。その器に恥じない料理は何かっていうのも常に考えて。
On our last day in the area, Tamba Sasayama City, my wife and I visited one of the countless shops that sell Tambayaki and picked out some of our favorites. For me, I love cats, so I couldn't resist these little plates. My wife, who clearly doesn't love her cats as much as I do, picked out this sake bottle and cup. Although, since she never drinks sake at home, she's going to use this as a milk pitcher to be served with tea or a salad dressing container.
もうこういう状態。
How did the 800-year-old tradition of Tambayaki stay alive? To me, it seems they were able to keep a balance between the artist's creativity and the needs of the people they made their wares for. The artists were also able to work together without getting in each other's way. In some ways, I related to the artisans I met. I won't compare my work to theirs, I'm only starting out, but I've always felt that, yeah, I have to create videos that the viewers will be interested in watching. So I try and do that. But I also make videos just for me, that satisfy my curiosity, satiate my creativity. And I've been fortunate enough that you have continued to watch the variety of videos I make. So thanks for watching. How are locals in your area keeping traditions alive? See you next time. Peace.